Hello, our Facebook viewers. Today, we are here recording our program Miracles Can Happen, as you can see, at the hall of our UCKG Help Center in New Zealand. So, as you can see, the altar of our church at my back, we are preparing ourselves for the 17th February. On the 17th February, it will be the day of the great campaign ever in the UCKG Help Center to overcome limits, to overcome limitation. So today, in our program Miracles Can Happen, we are going to show you testimonies, and we are going to talk about overcome your limits. If you are someone who have living a life of limitations, problems, situations, difficulties, having put limits in your life, you can't do things, you can't find a better job, you can't have a better life. So today, we are going to talk to you about what you have to do for you to overcome your limits and your limitations. So stay with us. This is our program, Miracles Can Happen. I want to show you a clip, and we are going to talk more about what you are going to watch now in this clip right after.
When do you reach your limit? Have you ever given up on something that you really wanted? You gave up when you just couldn't go any further. It seemed like you had done everything you could, and when you realized you were at the end of your rope, there was nothing more you could do. That's when you decided to get a divorce, label your sickness as incurable, quit fighting for a promotion, declare bankruptcy, give up on your dreams and goals, end your depression by ending your life. Please don't give up. On February 17, in every UCKG Help Center or Succeed in Life Center, you'll find a prophet of God who will show you that you have no limits. Any and every problem in your life can be resolved, but it's up to you. Get ready and find the nearest UCKG or Succeed in Life Center to you. Everything is possible if you believe.
So the video that we just showed you, it gives you an idea how those who live with limitations, how their lives it is, how usually they feel themselves. That's why on the 17th, this month, we are going to have this great campaign in the church. We are going to invite all the people to come to the altar. Because for God, there is no limitations. I have here a verse in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 5, verse 1, where it says, read with me, now Naaman, captain of the army of the king of Aram, was a great man before his master, and held favor because by him the Lord had given deliverance to Aram. He was also a mighty warrior, but he had leprosy. So, 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1. We see here a man who was a great warrior, a man who fought many battles, a man who brought many victory to his country, to his king. But Naaman had a life of limitation. That leprosy was impeding Naaman to live a complete life, a happy life. He had to hide that leprosy from the other soldiers. He had to hide it from everyone because he was a great, a mighty warrior. And the problem that leprosy would cause Naaman to be ashamed, embarrassed in front of others. And maybe this is exactly how you have lived your life, dear viewer. You have hide from people that you are sad. You have hide from your colleagues at work that your finances is not doing well. You have living by outward appearance. You dress yourself nicely, you apply a nice makeup, you have a nice hairstyle, but inside of you, you are broken. You feel down. You have your limitations. Sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are sad, some days you want to live, other days you want to die. So keep the date in mind, 17th February. It will be the day of a great campaign for you to overcome your limits, to overcome your limitation. And then you ask, what should I do? Where should I go to overcome my limits, my limitation? The place that you can see behind me, the altar. If you come to the altar, there on the altar, all your limitations, all the limits that you have, there on the altar, the weak become strong. There on the altar, the smallest become the biggest. The poor become rich. So that is the place where on the 17th this month, we place here a challenge. If you come to the altar and obey the word of God, what the prophet of God, the man of God speak, this life of limitation will no longer exist. So let us now watching a testimony. I want to show you the testimony of someone who came to the UCKD Help Center sick, broken, destroyed. But he'll tell you what he did to overcome his limitation. Let us watch this testimony and I'll be right back.
I always felt that my health condition was not great. I remember as a very, very young boy, 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old, with vague memories, vague images of me going to doctors with my mom on a consistent basis. This was something that growing up, I got very used to going to doctors, doing medical tests for this and that. I was told I suffered from asthma as very young. I know I had chronic respiratory infections. I had chronic digestive problems. And I remember telling my dad, why is it that I get sick and sometimes a lot of our family members get sick so often? And the family consoled me saying that's normal. But I deep down inside didn't really accept it. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was normal. Is around 2005, I had already finished several degrees, and I was working for a fund. And actually my professional life was on the rise. And just around that time when things were getting really good for me professionally, I developed these fatigue symptoms, these fatigue spells that began usually only on the weekends or here and there. I would just get tired for no reason at all. And they progressed through the years, to 2006, 2007. Then it progressed to I was too tired to get up in the mornings. Some weeks I would go to work, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Thursday I just couldn't get out of bed. I had to call in and apologize and not be able to go to work because I was too tired, and I really didn't know what to say to my coworkers or to my boss. I went to general doctors, clinicians, when they couldn't really diagnose or see anything that was wrong with me. I talked to my family, and they recommended psychologists, psychiatrists. I actually remember I hired a professional counselor out of New York. I talked to him twice a week, some therapy in Connecticut. I went to Colombia at least once to go see doctors there, because I'm from Colombia, that's where my family is from. One day during work, I had to get out of my desk quietly. I didn't know what was wrong, and just use the walls as crutches to get out of the building, go to my car. I told nobody about this, and I had to lie down in my car 30 to 45 minutes till I got my energy back. And then I went back up to the office, because I worked on the 15th floor, and talked to my boss and told him, look, I don't know what's wrong with me. I need some time off. I'm sick. And he offered me to telecommute. And in 2008, I was laid off from the company I worked at. After I wasn't working, and I really didn't have to work because of the reserves I had accumulated during my working years, the symptoms continued. So it wasn't stress from my job, because now I had no stress, and my health continued not being good. I was very depressed because of this. I was in my 20s when all this was going on, mid-20s, late 20s. And it was like I was living I was in my 20s, but living in the body of a 90-year-old, of an 80-year-old. I remember my boss one time made a comment, Juan, if you have all these symptoms now that you're 24, 25, imagine what it's going to be like when you're 50. I was very sick, intensely sick with a debilitating disease, and I started attending the church about 4 years ago in 2009. I was invited to the church by my mom, who attends the same church, Universal Church in South America. At the time I lived in Texas. And I did a 30-day chain of prayers, challenge of 30 days. This was back in May 2009. Participating in the chain of prayers and doing as the pastor ordered us to do, I saw improvements in my energy level, and it was quite fascinating. Shortly thereafter, after those 30 days, or during those 30 days, the Israel challenge started. The sacrifice was extremely painful, physically and internally, mentally, participating in the services, praying at home, and talking to God, looking for what He wanted from me in sacrifice. And He really asked for everything that I had, which at the time was a sizable amount of money and material things. It was not the pastor, because I didn't consult the pastor or the pastor's wife or any of the assistants at the church. I did not consult my family, friends. It was really just me and God in my apartment during the nights that I spoke to God when there's really no distraction. I had to write down, the process was I wrote down in a piece of paper what it was God was asking for me. And at first I wrote down a number. First thing I did, well, since it was my mom that invited me to church, well, she's responsible, right? So I picked up the phone, called her, made a long distance phone call to South America. And I told her, Mom, look, I'm gonna participate in this Israel challenge, but I just felt like I wanted to throw up, and I don't feel well. And I remember her saying, those are demons. You have the authority of your mother to go ahead and do what God is asking you to do, so go ahead and do it. And I hung up the phone, and I continued planning out my sacrifice. At first, I thought it was $300,000, which is what I could move around through bank accounts and investment accounts. And that's when I proceeded to selling a lot of my material things. My car, at the time it was a year and a half old, it was a fully equipped Toyota Camry hybrid that everybody always complimented. It was red, I really liked it. So I went ahead, I proceeded to go ahead and sell that. I sold my furniture. I put a lot of things up for sale in Craigslist, most of it. I just wanted to get rid of it, get the money, and do my sacrifice. Lots of musical instruments, $1,000 guitars, my furniture, computers. During the week of the sacrifice, it started out very organized, but as I proceeded to pull the sum of money together into those two bank accounts and concentrate it, it was like an internal bloodbath that just went on. So it was very painful during the entire week of the sacrifice. I remember arriving at church the Friday that it started. It was from one Friday, 1 week, to the Sunday of the next week. That Friday, I was just exhausted. I arrived at the church and I said, Pastor, I have my vow here. It's 1 week early. I'm done. I'm not going to do anything else. But God wanted more from me. So that entire week of the Israel Challenge, I was putting money on the altar. And I was continuing to sell things every day. I'd walk home. I'd have effectively zero money except for some coins. I had 3 credit cards. I had something like $50,000 worth of credit line, or $50,000 worth of credit line. I don't remember exactly. God asked me for that credit line as well. It was my safety net, because that was easy money that I had available. It was safety. And I put that on the altar as well. And that's what I did. It ended up being just under $400,000. As far as I was concerned, that day, the end of the Israel Challenge, was the day I thought I was going to die. So anything after that, I didn't know was going to happen. But when I made that decision to sacrifice, I didn't realize it till weeks after Israel Challenge ended. My health was perfect, miraculous. It was, in fact, when I made the decision to sacrifice prior to turning in my vow, that I saw a complete elimination of all negative health symptoms that I've been carrying since childhood. What I recommend for people that are in the shoes that I was in back 4 years ago when I had all these health conditions is to go ahead and do what God is asking you to do in the Israel Challenge. You know, today I enjoy great health. I exercise 5-6 times a week. I do running, usually outdoors running, cardiovascular exercise, weight training, and lots of exercise. I have a very active lifestyle between my work and I do some studying on the side. I also attend church services regularly. I'm very happy with the way my health goes. And I know that I never really accepted my diseases as normal. Some people accept their health conditions, their bad health conditions, as normal. It's not normal, and you have to be true to yourself.
Did you see what God did in his life? So this is exactly what has happened in all the UCKG Help Center, all over Asia and Oceania, and also in our Succeeding Life Center. So tomorrow, Sunday morning, I am inviting you to take a step in. I believe that there closer to you there is one of our UCKG Help Center. Or even though it is a bit far from where you are, I think that you can take a step in. Even though you have to drive for an hour to get to the UCKG Help Center. But what we are showing to you through this program, Miracles Can Happen, we are showing you, my friend, there is a way out. The problem that you face, it can be hard for you to overcome because you have limitations. But it is not impossible for God, because in God there is no limit, there is no limitation. What is impossible that God cannot do? He can do everything. What you have to do is prepare yourself tomorrow morning, take a step in and join us. I am Bishop Flávio. I'm talking to you from our UCKG Help Center in New Zealand. If you are watching us right now from any place in Auckland, you are more than welcome to take a step in tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m., 13 Lamb Drive. You are going to find our headquarters. So we are going to watch now another testimony. Someone who came to the UCKG almost blind. He couldn't read. He couldn't see well. But let us see what God did in his life, and I'll be right back.
My name is Cecil Luckett. I attend the Universal Church of San Fernando. I used to have vision problems. I cannot read. I cannot read the words. It used to be multiple images. At that time, it built up a fear in me because I thought I was going blind. At the moment, I used to see cobwebs in my eyes. I used to see multiple images. I used to see fine particles moving across my eyes, and I was so desperate. I didn't know what to do. And during that session, I was so desperate that I have spoken to one of my cousins, and he says that he had the same problem, and he still have it. And he went to doctors and specialists, and they say they could not solve the problem for him. And when I came to the church, I was introduced to the chain of prayer. And the pastor had at that time, he introduced the water to us. And I used to drink that water all the time. And I think that, and I went for eye wash and medication, and that didn't help much at all. It was just the same. And I think that water, I said, well, if I can drink it and get healed, I'll take that water and wash my eyes. I washed my eyes for 21 days. And eventually that everything was cleared. I was able to read the words. I can read newspaper, my Bible. So eventually that I washed my eyes with the consecrated water, and in 21 days it had been cleared. After using and washing my eyes with that water, I was set free. I was able to see clearly and distinctly and good up to this day.
Helping people is what drives us at the Universal Church, and we invite you to join us every Monday to find wisdom to prosper with our independence projects. We also have prayers for healing every Tuesday as a complement to your medical treatment. And every Wednesday, join us to feed your spirit and discover new insight from God's Word. There is also prayerful support and guidance for the family and relationships that can be strengthened with the Love Talk every Thursday. And every Friday, join us and receive freedom and protection from negativity. We invite you especially for the Day of Empowerment every Sunday as we draw closer to God. And every Sunday at 1 p.m, we have the YPG meetings. We also have our Get Clean meetings every Sunday at 3 p.m. to battle against any addiction. There is also a facility available for kids, the CBC.
Perhaps you are someone who heard people around you say, the time of miracles is over. But what we are showing you here through this program, Miracles Can Happen, is the time of miracles is not over. The same God who performed miracles in the past, He is the same one who performs miracles today. If you believe that a miracle can take place in your life, what you have to do is join us. Look for one of our UCKG Help Center all over Asia and Oceania, and also in our Succeeding Life Center. And when you come, bring a small bottle of water with you so that we may pray over this bottle of water, so that when you drink from this water, you must be healed, you must be free, you must have strength to overcome this problem that you are facing. All right? So we are coming to the end of our program, Miracles Can Happen. May God bless all of you. Bye-bye.